In the near future, the Earth will be completely destroyed by a nuclear war, making it nearly impossible to live on. For this reason, a group of colonists are sent to the moon to set up bases for future colonies. Unfortunately, the colonization failed, instead opening mines to extract as much resources from the moon as possible. For 20 years miners have to work. They are then allowed to fly to a planet called Omega, where humanity is now thriving. The journey takes 75 years, so travelers need to cryosleep. It's been 50 years since mankind landed on the moon, and many children are born who are bored with life in the mines and stuck in the routine. It is now 2257 and many rumors are circulating about a strange object that has left a crater on the moon, but no one is allowed near it. One day, a group of children approached the hangar to steal a rover to escape the mine. When they see an adult walking, they will hide behind furniture, but will quickly come out and continue arguing over what to do. Dylan touches the probe's interior to activate it, but he accidentally sets off the alarm. As everyone debates, Caleb looks at the small capsule he's holding and wonders how he got here. Caleb's father died, and his mother died 7 years ago. Thanks to cryosleep, he is still a child when he arrives. Caleb is told that he doesn't want to go home because all his friends are here, but that his complaints will be ignored and he will leave in 3 days when the meteor shower passes. This reminds Caleb of when his father, Michael, told him not to be afraid of the very high ladders around the base. Together they climb the crater, looking up at the sky. Michael thinks of the stars, and though their family may no longer be there, their souls are still with them, and I hope Caleb sees the crater before he dies. I'm talking to Caleb returns to this place to relieve his memories along with his sheer nostalgia and is soon joined by his best friends Dylan, Booney and Marcus. They are upset when they hear that Caleb is leaving, but knowing about his father's last wish, Dylan suggests they go on one last adventure together and sneak out of the base to see the crater. First, they steal a lot of tools that will help them on their journey. And while examining those finds, Caleb is visited by a policeman who brought a small capsule containing Michael's ashes. During lunch, the boys realize they needed a basic passcode to exit. Dylan decides to contact Addison, a girl who has no friends. Because she just moved from Earth and everyone thinks she's her weirdo. Her father is on the science team, which means she has access to the code. Pretty clumsy in his ways and suspicious of her, Addison disappears, causing Dylan to go after her and confess her true intentions. Addison wants her adventure too, and she is jealous of the boys' friendship, so she agrees to get them the code while she can come too. Back in the present, Caleb pulled a cable from the rover just before the lockdown was announced, turning off the alarm. Now the kids can get in the car and get behind the wheel since only Dylan knows how to drive. Caleb enters the code Addison received while decorating a small bobblehead astronaut plaque, saying this is an Earth tradition. Caleb ponders his father's last words as the group crosses a long hallway and exits. There he sees the moonscape for the first time. After admiring the scenery for a while and taking Marcus' heart medicine, they go down the street and soon find a huge abandoned but beautiful structure. Caleb explains that Michael explained that it was left over from a failed human colonization attempt on the moon. Since the discovery of Omega, mankind has completely forgotten about the moon and has become this very depressing place. Addison doesn't realize it's a big deal because she's only 20 years old and she's allowed to retire, but she doesn't know the truth because she's the daughter of her senior executive. Every little mistake they make. For example, a late arrival or sickness would extend a contract, and if someone died before turning 20, their next of kin would have to spend the rest of their lives with them. It's all a trap to keep your family working here forever. Addison apologizes for her own rudeness and improves by telling the boys stories about her Earth, trees, blue skies, and oceans. After driving for a while, they stop the rover, put on their suits and go for a walk. Coming from a better position, Addison has a nicer suit and the boys are shocked at how good she looks. When they get out of the car, they immediately start playing with gravity and enjoy how they can jump so high. When they saw the Earth for the first time, they were amazed at its blueness. Seeing Earth inspired Addison to teach the boys how to play baseball. Instead of her normal gear she uses stones and sticks, but when a stone hits her she will fly far due to gravity. The boys didn't understand the concept of running through the bases, and a disappointed Addison decided to spend some time alone. Evoking her nostalgia for her hometown, she reached out her hand as if she could grasp the Earth and almost cried. Suddenly hearing a noise, she turns and sees the boys flying with oxygen tanks, and she is tethered to the probe by a cable while the oxygen tanks are pushed up by a combination of gravity and the tank's exhaust. I was sure. Addison thinks this is a dangerous idea that wastes oxygen, but Dylan hints that she is a coward and persuades her to comply. Soon everyone will be playing together, taking turns competing to see who can come out on top. Everything was fine and fun for a few minutes, but when Boney's turn came around, the cable snapped and he started floating out of control. The children rush to get more oxygen cylinders and use them to take them away to help their friends. Since they can't really control their trajectory, there are many unconventional hoverings before they start colliding with each other. This collision causes them to cling to each other, accumulating so much weight that they fall to the ground. Caleb points out that we've wasted so much oxygen that we don't know if we'll ever make it to the crater right now, but more may be found in the old outpost of the first settlement. Do. Boney had heard from his brother that the outpost was full of ghosts, so he dislikes the idea. Dylan says Boney's brother is a loser, and Boney insults Dylan's family. This starts a fight, which Marcus tries to stop, but interferes with. Amidst all the yelling, Caleb screams and reminds her that this is not the way to spend their last days together. The boys apologize to each other and reconcile. When we finally arrived at the outpost, it was pitch black inside. As the group walks down a hallway, they suddenly see a human figure and let out a scream of terror, but when they turn on the lights they realize it's just a bunch of mannequins. Addison points out that this is not an outpost, but a house meant to serve as an example of what they will build to colonize the moon. Looking around, Dylan tells Addison the fact that his father ran away from everything, thereby explaining Boney's comments. Caleb looks at the mannequin and remembers the time when he used to talk about his father and his mother. Eventually, the children found oxygen cylinders and plenty of food at the camp, where they decided to spend the night. After the feast, they light a fire and Addison tells further stories about Earth, including all the lost cultures and belief systems. She also admits that her parents divorced. Her mother went to Omega with her brother, so they will be in cryosleep for 75 years, and Addison will no longer be able to speak to her brother. When Boney presses a mysterious button, music suddenly starts playing, revealing that the house is controlled by the main computer, and Caleb realizes how unfair it is to give up so many beautiful things like art. Realize. Angered hatred of the system dominated their moods, and now the children have decided to start destroying the house. It destroys everything but the main computer, hops on the bed, throws pillow fights, and runs aimlessly around every room in the house. Later, when most of the boys are asleep, Addison is still awake and Caleb joins her. He says Dylan is his best friend because Dylan shared food with Caleb when he didn't have it, and he worries about what will happen to Dylan when he's gone. I'm here. Caleb makes Addison promise to be Dylan's friend and support him after Caleb leaves. In the morning the kids return to the rover, but after driving for several hours the car's battery dies. As the boys debate what to do, Addison sends out a distress call, pointing out that the lockdown will take hours until the rescue team arrives. Plenty of time to walk to the crater and return to rescue later. The children put on their suits, ran for a while, and finally arrived at a huge crater. Caleb remembers Michael, remembering his father's promise to visit the crater one day, and hopes Michael will be proud. Peek inside and be surprised to find a glowing building surrounded by strange pillars. One of these pillars reads "Past is never far away," and a door suddenly opens on the floor and children descend a flight of stairs into a well-ventilated hallway. Eventually they discover a room with only a tree in the center of a black circle and a phrase about the sky left. Addison recognizes this type of space and starts pushing the walls like crazy until a panel opens and a button appears. When she presses a button, a white light envelopes the room and they are suddenly transported to Earth, where the boys can see for the first time in their lives what nature is like and how blue the sky is. When you walk around and touch things, you realize it's just a hologram, but it still feels like a great experience. Suddenly, Caleb finds a star on the ground, removes the plaque, the hologram ends, and underneath finds a picture of his mother's ashes and his parents together. Caleb finally realizes what Michael wanted, he takes a picture for himself and leaves Michael's ashes along with his wife's. Caleb is really upset now. Because this is his true home, he doesn't want to leave the moon just yet. But Dylan pointed out that everyone dreams of getting out of this dump and having a good life at Omega, so Caleb shouldn't let it go to waste. His father definitely wouldn't have wanted that. Suddenly, Marcus falls ill and collapses. He found that his blood pressure dropped when he was outdoors. The group help him out of the building to get some medicine, but when he gets outside he finally realizes that the meteor shower has started. Boney is frightened, but Caleb pesters him, and soon everyone holds Marcus in the shower, avoiding the falling meteorites around them. The boys were very fast and managed to reach the rover within minutes, but the meteorite got too close and Addison fell and was forced to hide behind a rock. When the boys discover her missing, Boney remains on the rover to give Marcus drugs while Caleb and Dylan return to rescue Addison. When they arrive, a meteor hits Dylan and he is knocked unconscious. Luckily, the suit is equipped with a repair gun that repairs the crack in Dylan's helmet before running again. When the meteor gets too close, Caleb falls with Dylan in his arms, but Addison helps him up and makes it safely to the rover. Unfortunately, they find that the windows have also been destroyed by the meteor, relying on the meager oxygen remaining inside the suit. Suspecting that no one will come because of the meteor shower, the children wait until the oxygen runs out before they go to sleep. So at least we will die together. Minutes later, when Dylan wakes up, he and Caleb reconcile and Caleb leaves before he passes out from lack of air. He swears that if he closes his eyes, he can hear people approaching. Sometime later, Caleb awakens, but without a chance to say goodbye to his friends, he is devastated to find that he has already been sent to Omega. In his pocket he finds a picture of his parents and a bobblehead of Addison. A nurse also brought him a digital player because his friends have been messaging him for 75 years. Caleb listens to everyone to find out more about their lives. Marcus starts a baseball team, and Addison begins a strike to improve contracts for miners. Their efforts were successful and Booney became a senior manager. Dylan and Addison eventually got married, had children, and even grandchildren. Caleb is both sad and happy to hear how the voices of his friends who grew up without him have changed. He starts a new life at Omega, but soon a foster family takes him in and provides him with a good life. It takes Caleb to adapt and make new friends, but once he learns how to move on, he goes in search of Addison's brother. When you find him, he will give you a bobblehead and share a message telling you all about the adventures you had together on the moon that day. End.